welcome back. As part of the day to mark International Day of Remembrance for Victims of Terrorism, we're mainstreaming conversations around persons who have been victims of one form of terrorism or the other. And today we have on the program an author as well as a governance advocate. She's a survivor. She's also the author of the book, Survival of Insecurity, Mrs. Mariam Yaro. She joins us from our Abuja studio. Ms. Yaro, thank you for coming on the program.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning and welcome to
the name of the book is Taking a Bullet for the State.
It was
launched in July this year.
Oh, Taking a Bullet for the State. Thank you. So I think that's a good...
Yes.
I think that's a good place for us to start the conversation, because we're talking about remembering victims of terrorism. So this is a classic case. So let's walk back on your story. What really happened? Let's use this as a build-up to the broader conversation.
Okay. So I'm happy to be here. And on the 24th of January, 2024, I was shot while on duty. I was actually heading from my state on official assignment to meet with investors. My experience of surviving an attack changed the understanding of public service and security completely. It made me become an advocate of development, peace, and security. But it also brought me closer to the WPS, which is the Women, Peace, and Security Agenda. So I realized that, when you've gone through this, there are two options. Either you go quiet or you face it head on, and which is what I did, and decided to document my experience by writing a book and lending my voice as a victim of insecurity.
Yes, I know you work with it. So if you don't mind, which ministry did you work? Are you working with? If you're still there, what assignment were you going for? If you want to share that with us, and tell us exactly, because you've just you just given us an overview, a bit more descriptive, if you don't mind. If it's not going to trigger anything, yes.
So I was formerly the MD of Zamfara Investment and Property Development. So I was tasked with the responsibility of wooing investors to come to the state. So obviously I have to actually travel to various places, especially Abuja, the federal capital, to meet with investors, convince them, and try and get them to come to the state to invest. So I was actually rushing to come to Abuja on that particular day to meet with some investors. I was actually in the middle of a conversation with an investor when I got shot. And I was like, I'll call you back, I just got shot. And they were really shocked, and they kept following up. We turned around and headed back to Gusau, which is the capital of Zamfara, where I had the bullet removed from my shoulder.
Madam Yaro, so that road, the Abuja Gusau Road or the Abuja Kaduna Road, brings a lot of memories for those who ply that axis. I wonder if you still travel by road, and what kind of memories do you have for every time you are perhaps compelled to go through that route?
Amazingly, I wasn't deterred. It took me 2 months to heal completely, for the wound to close. I came back to Abuja and for it to heal, but going on that road, I was not deterred, because I was determined to actually deliver on my assignments. But luckily, at a stage, the government also provided security to escort staff traveling back and forth on that road. But honestly, government still needs to do a lot about insecurity. That alone is not sufficient.
Speaking of what government needs to do more about security, is Zamfara where you worked, still has a lot of insecurity concerns. As a matter of fact, months after the 2023 elections, lawmakers expressed concern, that if nothing drastic was done, the capital itself would be overrun by bandits. So what for you, from where you stand as someone who has worked in government, is the missing link between the seeming inability of the governors to provide intervention in the matter of insecurity and the state of affairs that we find ourselves?
Sorry, I missed that. The last part. What did you say?
What is responsible for the seeming inability of governments at the subnationals to provide, decisive intervention in the area of insecurity?
I think all the agencies need to work together. It's not about blaming this person, this organization or this agency or that. They actually need to come in together collectively with the traditional rulers and citizens, understand what is really going on, and also put in basic amenities and look for how to really eradicate poverty. I think that's another thing. When you have certain things in place, people are deterred from looking for unnecessary money. I think when you can reduce poverty, create jobs for people, amenities are available, all these things will definitely go down. But we have to, it's a collective thing. We all have to put hands together.
I know that you talk about good governance, and let's explore some of the things you wrote in that book as far as your experience is concerned. So I always like to break it in two parts. The one part of the government, which we always talk about. Talk to us about the part of the citizen in being part of this, what one of my colleagues will call uniting against terror, because terrorism is against all of us. We can do the political banter, disagree to agree, and all the things we do in between. But at the end of the day, it is the citizens, the average citizen, that is affected the most. If you look at the numbers in terms of ransom being paid, incident being recorded, fatalities being recorded, the swing is always against those that are just average Nigerians.
Well, in the book, what I did was I actually tied it more towards the WPS. So as a woman, I made more emphasis towards, because women they detect or sense insecurity early, all these, and are able to report it. But we need to be carried along in the system to express and say our own points. Not only that, women need to stop being marginalized. We need to be part of building a better and safer Nigeria for all of us. That is where I tied the whole, even though insecurity affects everybody, but I stuck more towards the WPS in the book.
So let me also find out the title of the book. I just want to touch the book, and then generally, you said taking a bullet for the state. Is it because you were in civil service, that's why you captioned it that way? Or there's another reason why the caption had to be taking a bullet for the state?
It's a literal translation.
Okay.
In the line of duty, taking a bullet for the state. When I started the job, I never in my life thought that, that will happen, but it was interesting. But the good thing, I was not deterred. That's what I'm happy about. And I think victims should also pick something from this. They shouldn't feel isolated. They should be able to talk, come out and express themselves. And we should also be able to give support so that people overcome. It's not the initial relief that really matters. It's how you rehabilitate someone and get them to get their dignity back, especially those that were taken to the bush. I was lucky. I was shot and escaped, so we need to rehabilitate them, get their dignity back, and get their sense of livelihood back.
Well, you could have turned the other way around, Mariam. How grateful are you for life?
Exactly. Every day I wake up, I thank God for life every single day.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to God.
You have mentioned, rehabilitation. You have mentioned the fact that people need to perhaps return to dignity. I think that's a big concern personally for me, because the governor of Borno State, for instance, Professor Babagana Zulum, some months back ordered that the IDP camps in Bama, Goza, and Muna asked that the internally displaced persons there return to their communities. But again, if you refer to recent events, for instance, in Kebbi, Sokoto states, where about 20 or 24, 23 persons were killed, attacked, in Kaduna State as well, in Plateau State, in Mangu. Paint a picture for us. Are you really concerned about the fact that these persons were forced to leave the IDP camps, which perhaps looks a bit more secured, compared to go back to their communities?
I think living in IDPs is actually not ideal. It's safe for first-hand rescuing. They settle down, try and get themselves, but they need to go back to normal life. IDP is not a normal life. And it's breeding a lot of things that we don't really need. People need to be rehabilitated properly, get houses, get jobs, get their homes back. They lost their livelihood. And living in an IDP, in a camp, that's not proper rehabilitation. Going back to their homes is ideal, but with the proper structure to keep them safe. Safety is very important after being in an incident, because trauma is something that keeps coming back and hitting one. So there should be a way to make sure that the environment is safe for these individuals, and they need to go back. They need to go back to their homes.
So, because you're familiar with that terrain, for some of us in this part of Nigeria, we have that freedom to move around and all of that. But that's not the case for people in Borno, in Zamfara states, in villages and communities, where we keep hearing of reports where, villagers, are compelled to sort of pay taxes to bandits or negotiate with bandits and all of that. So, do you believe that these communities are safe enough for Nigerians to return?
This is why I keep saying that, it's not only government that is involved. We need to work together with the traditional institutions, with the security forces, put heads together and come up with a solution. But uprooting people to live their livelihood totally, once start all over again, it's not the best and it's not easy. So, but yes, they do give little tokens to the bandits, to be able to retain their homes. So, which means that they too know who the bandits are. So actually, we need to put heads together to make sure this thing, and they do have informants and they know the informants. So it's just they need protection to be able to bring out these informants and tell us what is really going on. And we will all work together. The government, the security agencies put heads together, the traditional institutions, we put heads together and, work on it. So, it's like a chain. It's from the top, you work down and you're given the directives and we work together. They know who these people are. So they need to do something about it. We can't continue living like this. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, your advocacy is for collaboration between government, security agencies, at other levels, traditional institutions. But what about what is at the doorstep of state governments as well? The non-kinetic approach to tackling banditry, kidnapping, and insurgency. From what you see, across the northern Nigerian landscape, how much of responsiveness has government been in ensuring the social welfare component to deter radicalism?
That's why I said we really need to work together. First of all, you need to create jobs. You need to help people have a sense of livelihood. That way they will not go into banditry. Then, or you reduce, and then we just need to all work together. And luckily, I was privileged to also have the Minister of Defense sign the foreword of my book. So it's not, I actually tried to carry as I said, I'm lending my voice as a victim of insecurity. So I've worked from the grassroots to the traditional rulers that I'm in connection with, to the Ministry here of Defense, to try and say this is what is going on. So I think we need more forums together, sit down and see how solutions can be brought to this, to resolve this, or at least reduce insecurity. But the main thing is that we need to find how to reduce poverty, and all this would definitely help in reducing all this banditry.
Madam, I wonder what will be your quick advisory, especially to a state like Zamfara that has been bedeviled by insecurity. In fact, one of the states that insecurity has really dealt with. What would be your candid counsel to the governor and the people of the state?
They need to do something quick, because you cannot get everybody being uprooted and leaving a town. It doesn't make sense. They need to come together on a state of insecurity and put heads together and find a solution to this. They work together from top to bottom. Something needs to be done. And they are aware, and they need to do something about it. It doesn't make sense. So we're going to end up with a... Pardon?
Yeah, just land on that thought as we wind down.
If not, so we're going to end up with a deserted Zamfara state, and it doesn't make sense. As a state that is endowed with 60% of Nigeria's mineral resources, ending up being deserted, doesn't make sense.
All right, Mariam Yaro is an author, a governance advocate. She wrote the book, Taking a Bullet for the State. Thank you for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's our little way of marking the International Day of Remembrance for Victims of Terrorism. Well, we have another leg for the conversation, which is very human interest. But stay with us and we'll let you know what the conversation is.